Is Spider-Man better than Venom? Well, we'd like to think so. For one, their first ever full-on clash, which happened within the pages of the now classic Amazing Spider-Man number 300, saw the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man walking away with the W. And you can tell from the start that this was going to be an intense rivalry right from the get-go, considering that Spidey and Venom's inaugural clash was a brutal, drawn-out affair that started with some good old-fashioned superhero fisticuffs that culminated in Black Suit Spidey shooting the evil right off of Eddie Brock. That doesn't end the duel there either, because it would only take all of but 5 panels before the symbiote recovered and sucker punched the wall crawler. By the time Peter came to, he found himself strapped to the inside of a church bell where Eddie and Venom planned on crushing him like the bug that he is at the toll of midnight. Hell, Eddie even dressed as a priest while he was at it. Now that's commitment right there. In the end though, Spidey was able to brute force his way off of Venom's symbiote webbing before the bell's clapper could smash his brains in. And in their final clash during this first encounter, Pete figured out that, unlike him, Venom uses his own, bodily fluids to create his webbing. So instead of going on a full superhero versus supervillain tussle, Spider-Man got all crafty to deliver his opponent that much needed KO. In this story, Pete figures out that since Venom's producing his own organic webs and that he already used most of it to trap him inside the church bell, then the symbiote must be running low on juice. All it took for Spider-Man to win this was climb all the way to the top of the church's tower, have Venom chase him, and then give him a solid, web-swinging kick to the face that sends Venom flying. This forced Eddie and his symbiote to desperately use up whatever remaining fluids they have left to break the fall. Spoiler alert, it wasn't enough. Having blown his load all over Spidey earlier, in church no less, depleted his supply of organic webbing to the point that it wasn't enough for Venom to land safely from the fall, but just enough for him to survive so he and Spidey could put hands on each other again. And if you want a more modernized version of this bout, we highly recommend you check out the 5th issue of Venom Dark Origin. It's basically a retelling of this duel, except told from Venom's perspective instead of the web slingers. And man, did these two get real with each other throughout their long history. Now, one of their next encounters wouldn't even be a fight. It was more akin to a Terminator-style foot chase scene where the wall crawler found himself being hunted by Venom. And to be completely fair, Spider-Man was totally on the ropes during this one, as he desperately tried to escape the symbiote's literal jaws of death. Suffice it to say that Spider-Man did more hiding than fighting during this debacle, and Venom almost got him too, whether it's by webbing up Pete's quippy maw or remotely subduing him with symbiote traps. But depending on how you look at it, Spidey's wits overcame Venom's brawn during this fateful encounter, because knowing that he couldn't beat the lethal black goo and his host one-on-one, Spider-Man opted to go for a tactical retreat where he fooled Venom into thinking he was dead. To do this, Peter took off his spider suit and put it on a skeleton before activating an explosion and swimming for his life off the island where they were having their little Predator reenactment. Hey, say what you will, but part of being a champ is knowing when to back down. So yeah, we can still count this as another example of Spider-Man being better than Venom, specifically in the art of deception. But hey, don't expect Peter Parker to run every time he sees that dastardly symbiote. In fact, one of their most grueling battles didn't even happen in the mainline Marvel universe. It was on Earth 1616, the old Ultimate U. In this version of the classic Spidey vs. Venom rivalry, Eddie Brock had the jump on Peter. So much so that Spider-Man wasn't even in his costume when all this went down, and it was an issue-long, grueling fight to say the least. Basically, it was Pete's fists versus Venom's lethal tentacles, as the two characters started the bout in the middle of an empty football field, took it to the streets of New York, and eventually ended with Venom nearly devouring Spider-Man whole. But just to prove how much of a boss Spider-Man can be whenever he stops holding back, he was able to dig deep and literally rip a hole through Venom's body before it could consume him. Now remember, this all happened without any Spidey tech or tricks. This was just Spider-Man activating playoff mode and bursting out of an otherwise deadly trap. And to add icing to the already sweet spider cake, Pete grabbed a tire and started beating Venom's head with it. Though this face-off ended on a rather anticlimactic note. As with the bane of any good fight, cops arrived and just started blasting everyone. Venom ended up taking all of the slugs in this case before accidentally tripping over a live wire and getting himself electrocuted. Still, the whole fight up until this point was one for the books, and one that shows there truly are instances where Spider-Man can out-muscle Venom. Now, all this said, we're completely aware that having Spider-Man and Venom fight one-on-one would probably end with a victory for the symbiote. Based on raw strength and his Spidey sense canceling attribute alone, Venom undoubtedly proves that he's stronger. But stronger isn't always better, and that's how Spider-Man has beaten him a few times throughout the decades. What do you think though? What other ways can you come up with for Spidey to beat Venom? Got other stories where the wall crawler won against him? Share it with us in the comments section below. And as always, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications for more thwippy pop culture goodness only here at KRTV Marvel. See you guys soon.